Welcome back, everyone, to another episode. It's episode 35 of the CBL X's and O's podcast. And today I'm sitting down with Sammy Gazzo from the Mildura Heat, and we're going to preview the 9 games in round 5 of the Northwest Conference. And we've got some really interesting matchups this week, Sammy, that are going to really show who should be in the top 4 and who shouldn't be in the top 4.
Yeah, I think in both the men's and the women's, Bacchus Marsh have got a bit of an interesting weekend, a testing one anyway. So it really will start to show whether, they could be maybe as high as third in both of them, or they could maybe drop as low as maybe fifth or sixth, depending. So they've got a very important weekend. So looking forward to going through them now with you.
Let's have a look let's start with the men. And Castlemaine, our undefeated team, are travelling to Maryborough to take on the Blazers. This ain't going to be easy for the Cannons.
No, definitely not. No, and Maryborough having last week off from memory. So they'll hopefully have gone through some of their stuff and their system, and their record probably doesn't really indicate the talent in that team. So they'll if they're unable to make finals, I definitely want to maybe create some upsets and shake up the ladder the way that they can. So, it will be a test for Castlemaine, but again, they are undefeated and they're able to come away with wins when they need to be. So, it'll be a game to watch, but, it might favour Castlemaine a little bit just as their record shows.
And you mentioned before a tough weekend for Bacchus Marsh. They start off Saturday night by playing you guys, the undefeated Mildura Heat. They are at home, so you guys are making a road trip this weekend. It will be, a tougher game for you guys.
Yeah, definitely. The good thing is it is a later game. Last week we played at 5 o'clock against Quentin, so that was a little bit challenging with the travel, but it is a later game. Look, Bacchus Marsh, like I said, they do look like a team that is challenging for that fourth spot. So a big weekend for them. They'll be raring to go, and we need to make sure we come down and make sure we're ready to go. So we're looking forward to the challenge, and again, hopefully we keep the winning streak going. We'll see how we go. Looking forward to the challenge.
And then Sunday, Melton are travelling across to Castlemaine, which is second versus third. It's going to be another cracker.
Yeah, that's going to be a really good game. What can you say? Melton again, probably a little bit, upset, if you want to use that word, that they lost to Bendigo last week, and they'll get a little bit of time to go through what they need to get through to make sure they're ready. And Castlemaine are back at home, but they play on the Saturday night. They're going to have to travel a little bit. So, that could go either way. That's going to be a cracker. Two teams that are fighting for that championship this year that are well and truly there. We'll be watching the results with keen eyes, definitely.
And then you guys, Mildura, pull into Swan Hill on your way home. You need to make sure you get the W so that you keep that undefeated streak going after your win Saturday night.
Yeah, well, definitely hoping all goes to plan for us on the Saturday night. Yeah, that we'd hope to. Hopefully still undefeated at that stage. But, we stop at our rivals, our neighbouring town out of anybody. It being 2.5 hours away, we're so isolated. But Swan Hill's always a tough game, and we do respect them very much so. So there's a lot of guys that know each other from our town in there. So we'll look forward to the challenge, and hopefully if we play our style of basketball, we come out with the win. But we'll see what happens. They've got some great players there.
And fifth versus sixth on the ladder, Bendigo take on Bacchus Marsh. And as we mentioned earlier, really tough weekend for Bacchus Marsh, especially having to go into Bendigo, and they're going to need to split this weekend, so they're going to have to win against the Braves.
Yeah, there's going to have to be, like we like to say all the time, you don't want to lose both over a weekend when you've got a double header. You want to lose one, but you definitely don't want to lose both. And in regards to their chances, I guess, at making that Final Four and trying to get that last spot in finals, they probably wouldn't want to drop too many, if any, over the weekend. So Bendigo get the Saturday night off, so they're going to be fresh, ready to go. And Bacchus Marsh, it's going to be a challenge. They've got to travel 2 hours an hour and a bit to get out to Bendigo and play against a young athletic team that's going to be ready for them. So real tough weekend for Bacchus Marsh. Look forward to talking to you next week and seeing how they do end up.
And let's go to the women now. And Maryborough are hosting Kyneton, and Kyneton will be wanting to get back on that winners list.
Yeah, definitely. probably a game that they probably wouldn't have seen that would have thought they were dropped, even with personnel. Travelling to Maryborough getting their first win last week. They'll be on a little bit of a high, so we expect them to be quite competitive. But I don't think Kyneton will be too happy having dropped the game last week and not being undefeated anymore. So probably expect them to put on a bit of a showing and get the W there.
And Bacchus Marsh hosting Mildura, 3rd versus 5th in the women. This is going to be a really great, tight tussle. And Mildura need the win to stick within reach of the top 4.
Yeah, it's probably a good way to put it for both teams. They probably want to make sure that they win this game against someone that's like for like as such with the record, whether head-to-head or percentage does matter towards the end of the year. So, it'd be tough for the women to come down, not knowing the personnel we're going to have in Bacchus Marsh. We'll want to make sure they keep their winning ways going. So, that's going to be one of the crackers this round, definitely.
And then Sunday, Swan Hill hosting Mildura. Mildura want to make sure they win this one.
Yeah, definitely. Swan Hill probably not faring too well at the women at the moment with just the one win off the top of my head. So, but our women playing again on the Saturday night and have a bit of travel does make a little bit of a difference. So, look, Swan Hill, you'd hope for them they'd be wanting to put their best foot forward and create somewhat of an upset, maybe hinder if they are a rivalry, Mildura's final chances.
That's it, and then Bendigo hosts Bacchus Marsh, which is similar to the men. The women's game is going to be a cracker as well. It's 3rd versus 4th. Bacchus Marsh want to continue winning. Bendigo don't want to drop another game. Both teams want the win, but only one can walk out of there.
Yeah, definitely. It's similar to probably Bacchus Marsh's Saturday night where they host Mildura. It's going to be a tough tussle because it's going to be who's going to take that 3-4 spot for the finals. And it will start to shape now, especially when you're quite similar in record. You want to start to cement that spot. So they won't want to drop both games, Bacchus Marsh. Tough to go into Bendigo. Bendigo coming off a loss will be, ready to go and prepared more probably than usual. You're coming off a loss, you're more working. So we expect a showing from Bendigo, but Bacchus Marsh, they'll be ready to go. They seem to have got some good wins this year and seem to be quite competitive. So that's probably the game of the round, I reckon, for the women. So looking forward to seeing how these teams go over the weekend.
That's our round 5 preview for the Northwest Conference. I look forward to jumping on the call next week as we review round 5, Sammy, because the ladder is definitely going to be shaken up. We're going to probably, maybe knock a few more teams off the perch of who can be in the top 4, but maybe we might have some underdogs get up and cause a bit of a stir on the ladder as well.
Yeah, the great thing is for both divisions, the men's and the women's, it seems to be quite competitive. I understand there are a couple of blowouts, but most games are pretty competitive. It's exciting. It's exciting because it is close and you're not quite sure on any given night who could win. But, we still have a couple of undefeated teams. Let's fingers crossed, I think, for us that we stay that way or somewhat. And Castlemaine will put in they've got a tough weekend as well. So we'll see if there's any undefeated teams that when we speak again next week. Otherwise, we'll probably start to talk about teams that have been contending for finals.
That's it. We sure will. So good luck to all teams over the weekend. And we look forward to seeing all our spectators in the venue as well. And we'll jump on a call next week to review what is going to be a spectacular round 5 in the Northwest Conference.